Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to the Long Run Show podcast, non-live stream, pre-recorded version of our award-winning podcast, The Long Run Show. I don't think it was a very good open. Anyway, it doesn't matter because today, in this pre-recorded show, we thought it'd be pretty awesome over the next 30 minutes to sort of go through our marathon experience and talk about the stuff that we enjoyed, stuff we didn't enjoy, and things we're kind of looking forward to next. Because I've got Hayden and Marissa with me, who both were in Boston doing that. And I've got Ben with me, who walked about in London for a bit, but I still finished ahead of him. And also ran pretty slow in Paris as well. Team, how are we all doing? Hayden, your job, you've got one job in this whole 30 minutes. And if you are watching this as a show, please keep an eye on at what point he actually cracks a smile.
I just took so
what?
much crap.
It's true, don't it, Marissa?
This is coming from the most miserable bloke in the
miserable.
podcast world.
I am miserable. If you'd have seen me right at 12:30 today, I was even more miserable than usual. I was honestly, it was just
I got that impression.
unbelievable. It's just a real struggle in general, isn't it? Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're not here to talk about that. We're here to inspire you listeners and your viewers, because we thought it'd be pretty awesome to talk about the sort of guts, the nuts, the bolts of our sort of last few escapades. And just have a bit of a chat really. And we was actually, before we just hit the record button, we was also just talking about Amsterdam. And and the reason we was talking about Amsterdam is because Ben and I next year are going to go there, hopefully, if we can get in, because it sells out real quick. Marissa, have you done Amsterdam?
No, but I know a few people that have, and it does look really nice.
Brilliant. I did it a couple of years ago. It was so good. It's really got that major feel to it, but it's not a major, but it feels like one.
I'm really tempted now.
It's but the thing is with it, it sells out on the day. It's that thing. We asked the geezer at the expo when I went there. I did my best sort of Dutch, vibe sort of thing. And he just basically said, no, it sells out straight away. I think that's what Hayden, can we tempt you into Amsterdam?
Maybe.
Oh,
maybe. Never say never. It depends. I'd like New York, to be fair, next year.
Yeah, well, next year we want to do like a I was going to say like well, I think I might be wrong here, but when the kids do it, they call it PGL. I don't know what that means, but where they all go away for the week.
It's a parent supervised trip. You want that?
Do you know what PGL actually stands for?
No, tell me.
Parents get lost.
Is that what it is?
That's what they call it.
Right. But we want to do a 40 runs PGL to the New York City Marathon next year. That's my aim, and I'm going to try really hard, best I can, to try and get this off the ground.
Tempted.
Because I just think, can you imagine us lot? I mean, it's going to be bad enough in Chicago, but in New York, I mean, don't get me wrong, like Chicago is going to be awesome, but I just think New York will be on another.
I love New York.
Yeah. So anyway, stay posted. That. So Hayden is coming to Amsterdam as well, so that's confirmed. And Ben is coming as well. So this is good news. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that. What I wanted to talk about firstly was your experience at Boston. Really, Ben's going to be doing it next year, isn't it, Ben?
Yes, hopefully.
What do you mean, hopefully?
I mean, I'd like.
How far are you under?
10 minutes.
I mean, that's a piss take if you don't get in with 10 minutes in it.
It's not just 10 minutes either, is it? It's like 15 minutes because obviously they've dropped it by 5 minutes anyway. So it's like 15 minutes.
It's 15 minutes. Shall I tell you an interesting fact, Hayden? Do you want to hear this interesting fact?
Go on, then.
So he qualified for Boston. Let's say 10 minutes. We'll give the street. But do you know who actually beat him in London?
No, go on.
Me. By 1 second. And I did the same in Berlin. What a legend. But we don't talk about it. So don't mention it. So, guys, talk to us about Boston. What was it like? How was it? Again, massive hype around that. But Marissa, start with you, obviously completing your journey. What was Boston like?
Boston's lovely. As a city itself, it's really, really nice. But the marathon itself, I really liked it. Well, apart from being in excruciating pain, the course itself is really, I loved it. I loved the course.
Why?
Because it's completely different to any other marathon. You start in the middle of nowhere. You have to run up a hill, obviously. But
everyone knows that.
the crowds are just amazing.
Really?
Amazing. And you run through like these little towns with their wooden houses. They've got forests, lakes. It's stunning, really stunning. So it takes your mind off a little bit of the pain, but obviously.
How would you rate it in terms of your 6 stars that you've done? Obviously, you know, some of us are going to Sydney this year, but how would you rate it out of the 6 that you've done? I asked Hayden this exact question when he just finished in New York, when I was lucky enough to be there with him. How, in terms of, actually, should we get her to rate them all?
Yeah, go for it.
Right, so
Mm.
let's start off with London out of 10.
London's probably in the middle. Say
No,
3.
I didn't ask that. I asked for a rating out of 10.
Oh, out of 10. Oh, okay. I would say 8 out of 10 for London.
Okay. Ben, try and put this into some form of table.
Mhm.
Chicago.
Oh, okay. I've gone too high with London. Go back.
All right. Based on the fact that you now understand the game.
Okay. 7 out of 10 for London.
Okay. Chicago.
8 out of 10.
Okay. Berlin.
Oh, maybe a 5. Not one of my favourites.
I know why. Tokyo.
Oh, God. 4.
That's what Hayden said. I mean, was it 4 you gave Hayden?
No, I didn't give any of them that low, but it was one of my lower ones.
It was your lowest. Boston.
9.
New York.
That's my favourite. I'd give Boston and New York the same 9.
I haven't forgotten any of them, have I?
I would say actually New York 9.5. I wouldn't say a 10, but 9. I loved New York.
So New York on paper is your favourite,
Yeah.
but close second, Boston.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Hmm.
Sorry, Hayden, where was you on the scale?
Boston, Chicago top.
Yeah,
Boston,
Chicago top for you,
Boston
wasn't it?
really, really, really close behind, if not the same. Then drop down to probably London, New York, and then Tokyo, Berlin. They're both fighting for the bottom spot,
Yeah,
definitely.
you're not a big fan of Berlin, are you?
No, and I even went back after the first. I've done it the first year and thought, and you went so on about it, so much how brilliant it was. I thought I'm going to go back. 'Cause I must have missed something. Went back and I thought,
Shit, you went
I ain't
back.
changed. I ain't changed.
Did you not change your rating after that?
Yeah, but I had a good time last time at Berlin, so
You did.
maybe it changed a little bit. Then that helped it a little bit.
It's changed.
To be fair, they're world majors for a reason. None of them are really bad. I've run a lot worse marathons than them. To be fair, Boston, UK is horrific. Anyway, but I've run a lot worse marathons. They're all right up there for me. They're all brilliant. But yeah, you're talking about Boston and Chicago for me. Definitely edge them all.
I had major FOMO at Boston this year. It really looked again that the whole place is overtaken by running.
It's so lovely.
It looks. I said I've always said it. I've made comments about it for how I've been lucky enough to spend a lot of time in the US years ago, and had time to spend quality time with people from Boston and like get to know them. That I just love the people there. They just got a fantastic attitude and apart from the fact the accent as well, it's just amazing. But
it's a funny old marathon from Marissa just said about it. You said about why is it different? It's because it's in a straight line. You're never, apart from until you get to the very end, you never turn. So in majority of marathons, London and Tokyo more never, you're turning, you're going left, you go around up there, you go right. Boston, no, you just keep
But
going
if you
straight,
said straight line, he means
straight.
a very, very undulating straight
Yeah.
It's very undulating, but it is a straight line. And when you've run a lot of marathons, that is a little bit different. You really do feel that, and you do notice it. You think to yourself, "This is strange. Why does it feel strange?" And it is because it is a straight line. You just
Can
keep
you
going
see? I know you got the undulation, but is there points? Because I remember in New York, I can't remember what.
Yeah, First Avenue. You
And
come
it's
onto
just-
it and you see it for miles.
Hang on a minute. I've got what? They're still up there, and you're like, it's going on forever. Does it feel like that?
No, you don't in Boston purely because, as Marissa said, it's so hilly.
the elevation.
So all you can see is the hill going up. Then when you get to the top, you always see another one going down and coming
Yeah.
up. The elevation stops that.
So, do you feel like because I feel like running again, and if you didn't listen to last week's podcast, listen to it. I think like running came out on top in Boston this year. I think it was all the good stuff, all the good vibes was around that. I think it presented itself well. Again, you know, that point about having to qualify, tough test, and all that. But at the same time, the beauty of Boston shone through. The beauty of running as a movement in terms of well-being shone through for me, sitting here watching it. Oh, Ben, did you feel the same about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of those ones. It's on the Monday, so I think there's a there's an element of that to it. So you've almost got. It felt like from sitting here, it was like, oh my god, this is like a weekend build up. That's really cool. It's not just you do park run on the Saturday and then you run on the Sunday. You've actually got a bit more of a build up to it, and I don't know, is it? I think that element of running in that straight line is something. It just fascinates me because in my head I'm like, oh, is it a bit like GNR in that kind of thing of that you're just running from one point to another?
Not like GNR.
But
now, even GNR has got sort of like the turns left and right, but
you want roundabouts, don't you? They don't have roundabouts in America.
Yeah, there's no roundabouts in America. Yeah, so literally,
it's actually
it is just. It is just.
You know, I've talked a lot of shit. What's this mean? It says like
GNR.
Just in terms of running, like GNR.
But running from one point to another, you don't end where you. Do you know what I mean? And that element.
Oh,
I can exclude you from the rest of this conversation.
Perfect, thanks.
Would you?
I can ask you about. Do you think that you felt like this way about Boston? Put away the times of the eliteness and qualifying times. I think I've got a theory on it, and I think it feels that way because it's a smaller field. There's 30,000 people at Boston, and I think these marathons now that are trying to push and push and push to get that world record. Berlin the year before when we've done it, it was so busy. I think that creates problems, logistics as well, and people moaning about not enough toilets. It's too packed in the pens, which completely justified. And then London again. London was a brilliant race. All went well. London Marathon events, no, they done brilliantly. But it's a lot of people there, and the more people you get, the more element you're going to get of people that aren't as focused on the love of running, if that makes sense. Whereas if I'm Boston with that 30,000 field, everyone is there. They're obsessed with running. They want to complete a marathon. They're there. London and that people do still, but you've got that element of charity and stuff, which is absolutely amazing. But people are there for different reasons. Whereas at Boston, I feel people are there to run Boston Marathon, and they want Boston Marathon.
I get what you mean. It's like the Indy 500. It's like the Monaco in Formula One. It's that sort of hardcore running sporting event, and I think that captivates the imagination of the runner, because it's essentially an elite field of 30,000 people. And I think obviously you've got your influencers there, heroes, but you've got people there that are, most of the time have worked so hard to get there. Again, we don't need to go into all that other bollocks, but you know what I mean. And I think it's a beautiful thing. Actually, it's like that purist of running as a sport. But then on the other spectrum of it, you've got London, which I think what Kipchoge spoke about so eloquently with regards to the good causes, the 1,700 and whatever good causes that benefit from the London Marathon, the sheer amount of money that it raises for charity, and how some of those charities literally survive on what the London Marathon generates, I think is as a standalone beautiful thing as well. And you've got two contrasting things there, but actually they're very similar in the terms of the pursuits that go into them. The others sort of sit in the middle in a way.
Agreed.
I've yet to do Chicago. I'm super excited about it, as you know, mainly to go to the Bear.
The Bear.
But no, it's the others sit in there. They have something unique about them. But Ben and I spoke about this as well. Berlin was too busy.
Yeah.
I'd be honest, I think London was too busy.
Yeah.
And I respect why they wanted to break that thing. But also, you have to remember with London, the more people that come into it, the more charities are benefiting from it. So I don't really have a problem with it, because I don't think it's, unless you're in that elite field that Ben's going to be in next year, you're not worrying about times. You're worrying to a degree, right? Again, I know everybody's out there for a certain goal and all this sort of stuff. But I think there's so much more emphasis on the amount of money that's being raised for charity, which I think is amazing. So I can kind of soak up London in terms of, like, you want more people in there, brilliant, more opportunities for people to raise money, but that goes back to the beauty of Boston for the purist.
Yeah, Can I say something? I think it needs to be say something about it, because I haven't said it before. And even though people be thinking it, but they won't say it, but it's the way it goes. So you refer to people working really hard to get into Boston. And yeah, you've got people that are going to work for years to try and get a Boston qualifying time and get it. And they work really hard to get it. Fantastic. But then we could go back to people like Marissa and my wife, Louisa. I know it's not about being ashamed to talk about it, but people are out there going to think, well, they haven't worked hard to get into Boston because they're not running a qualifying time.
Yeah, they have.
But exactly that. And that's what I want to say. That's what I want to defend them. So there's people there that will work hard. For Louisa and Marissa, both of them have done 5 world majors. This is their 6th world major.
Yeah.
They've run 5 world majors all around the world. Some of them have done twice.
Absolutely deserve to be
over 3 or 4 years. That's bloody hard work.
Yeah.
They've trained for every single one. They've done the same training block, just not as fast as someone else.
Agreed.
That's all.
Agreed.
They've done all that to get in. So for people to think in the back of my mind, and I know people do think, and they think, yeah, but they haven't worked hard enough to get to Boston, as almost like they don't deserve it as much.
No,
that's
but
wrong.
I think again, but that actually comes back to that purist as well, because they have worked just as hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
So again, the winner of them doing it is running.
Yeah,
because it's that. Yeah, I think that's the winner there is running. They've actually worked to do those 5 majors. You know, gone through the 5 maybe even more training blocks to complete those.
You hear it all the time, though. People say, "But you paid your way to get in." Yeah, and I haven't got a problem with that.
Yeah, but I don't think you have paid your way to get in. You have to qualify. You had to qualify with that Sports Tours companies, which meant you had to run 5 or 6 massive events with them and put in that training blocks. That's 5 or 6 training blocks. If I'm honest, if it was your very, very first marathon ever, and someone said you can run Boston, it's 20 grand. Oh, there's 20 grand. I'm going to go run Boston. Yeah, I agree with that totally. But it's your last one out the 6, and you've done all the rest. For me, you've worked just as hard as what anyone else and deserve it. So for people,
also, I go back to what I was saying in the podcast that we did, recently. You've trained and you've run 5 marathons. Yeah. It's not like you've just gone for a walk down to Sainsbury's to get some milk. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't underestimate how hard that is.
And
there's people out there who's done 100 marathons and still, in their mind, not qualified for Boston. Okay, again, there's no right or wrong answer here. But what I think the point Hayden's making is that it's justifiable that those people are there, and more than acceptable that they're there. And again, it goes back to my point. It is the beauty of running. It's the pursuit of that goal of running Boston, and they've not done it the quick and easy way of you say paying 20 grand or whatever. They've worked hard to do those other 5 majors to be given an opportunity to go into a situation where they can then go and do Boston. That's
justification. You just summed it up. Perfect word for all of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's the way. But I do think it is on. I like it, the fact that it's on a pedestal. I said it I was on a live stream the other day. I like.
They do raise a lot of money though, the Americans, for it as well.
Yeah. Listen, again,
we met some lady. I swear to God, she was over 70, and she had raised $25,000.
And she knew at the start when we were standing there talking to her, she knew she wasn't going to make the cut-off time. She said, I'm a 6.5-hour marathoner. I will not make the cut-off time. This will not be registered as a world major for me, but I'm going to run this race 25 grand from my memory of her husband, and I'm going to cross that line. And she did. And he's still getting a medal, remember? It's just not.
But again, it goes back to that fundamental thing about the beauty of running.
Yeah.
And that pure nature of it, which is achieving something. She's achieving something for a greater good. Some people are achieving it for their own reasons. Other people in London are achieving it, for that charity or whatever. And that's what I said to you about on that podcast. That I think it's beautiful that in London, that Mother Nature turned up and says, "You lot can all do one. Yet none of you are going to go out there and smash this today and make running look easy and make this London Marathon. You've had it all too easy for the last few years. This is what you got to put up with, son. See what your minerals are like on this. You know what I mean? And I think it's a beautiful thing because, the charities one, but running one again, and it's like people finally, hopefully, realise that running marathons is really hard, right? Really and training for marathons is really hard if you train properly. Yeah, if you apply yourself, they're really hard. And I think and that's why I go back to my point. What I was saying on the pod was. It's a beautiful thing when it gets tough, It's great. I'd much rather run although I moan about it the whole way, Ben, but I do prefer running the slightly tougher courses because it's a challenge, and I will moan the whole way. Just got to put up with it. But I will get more out of that than on a flat course and trying to kill myself. I will get much more pleasure in running, whatever we ran at Watford this year, Ben. I can't remember. It was quicker than the year before. 1:43, I think we ran, didn't we?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah,
you was basically walking the whole way. But I got more pleasure out of doing that, say, than going to a flat Battersea and doing 7 laps to try and beat a PB. No. But my point is, I like the challenge, and I think that's the thing as well with Boston. Is there's that element of the challenge to it because how much I personally respect the course and respect the event. And that's where I think that was always my worry. I said that to you, Hayden, when we did the podcast in the studio, was I was worried that people would lose effectively the respect for the London Marathon because it was going to get absolutely shat upon by marketing. And that was always my worry. And that again, that pedestal that I put the London Marathon on because it's such a beacon for Great Britain in a way, in terms of the amount of money it raises, the stories that come out of it, and the beauty that is the people, the story of the people that are running it, but also the spectators and the good causes. I think that was my worry about it. And because Mother Nature showed up, I actually it that won versus the social media side of things, and I think that's one of the amazing things that came out of London this year. And I think actually it's probably inspired more people, despite the really terrible conditions to run in. I actually think more people have been inspired by it because of the tough nature of it, and because of the grittiness that those runners had to show to complete it. I think that's actually worked in its favour by inspiring more people.
Can I say one thing, actually? When I take into consideration the scores, I must be honest, even though I put Boston right up there on the pedestal, and it is great, you don't feel the emotion as much at Boston. Personally, you might feel the emotion yourself because you're running one of the most oldest traditional marathons in the world, and it's right up there. But you don't see that person at the side of the road breaking down, cuddling their family, their kids coming up to them. You don't see what we saw at London at the weekend. To be fair, I haven't seen that any of the world majors. Tokyo, no one even talks to you. But the rest of them, you don't see that emotion.
Well, they do.
Berlin, you're not even allowed in the expo with your family.
No, at Tokyo, literally, they just wave at you and they don't say nothing. But I honestly, I don't be disrespectful about Berlin or anything. But London, you saw it this weekend. Strangers, I saw strangers just diving into the crowd and just giving people a hug and just they just felt as they went past, cheering everyone. That emotion, that is just so epic at London. And yeah, New York's got the fanfare. It's got the loud crowds.
London is the most unique for feeling and love, and honestly, that cheer station, the amount of times I was in tears this weekend was.
But just our cheer station, right? I'm not even gonna, because you can't even compare them to anything else out there, right? But I did see that, Ben, as we was going around, the sheer emotion of people when they saw their friends and family. And and again, New York was unbelievable. The crowds were just mental. But the crowds in London have that, I don't know, that humility about them as well.
It's more personal, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's just, I don't know. It's really hard to explain unless you've done it. New York was wild.
Yeah, that's a good word.
You know? But London, there's something genuine about it. I'm not saying New York's not, because again, I absolutely loved it. But there's something unbelievable what happens in London. And again, I think that is the Britishness that comes out, that human side of things.
We're quite reserved, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly. And then London Marathon
out there and cuddle and hug,
and everybody's hugging each other, and there's so much pent up emotion that comes out at London. Again, I think an element of that is good causes. I'm not saying, again, people do raise money at other marathons and stuff like that, but there is that huge thing about that. I think a lot of people doing it for their first time as well. I can't remember the number. I heard the number, but it's high in terms of people running their first marathons at London. It was a high number. So I think that's a part of it as well. So you see that side of things. I also just think, I don't know, the volunteers are so caring. Okay, please don't shoot me for saying they're not anywhere else, but I don't know. There's something about it. It's like We're just one big family for the day.
It is so hard to describe, but you're absolutely there's an atmosphere around London from start to fit, like from when you get to Greenwich, like to kind
even
of
the
when
train
you
driver.
Yeah, it's just like even on the train, like you just kind of, as much as you hate talking to people, we were kind of having.
No, I had no choice.
I know, because
No, so I was on the train, right? And I hate getting on the train, yeah, and I hate talking to people, and I hate, especially strangers, and I hate being crammed in. All right, that's just me and my autism. You got to deal with it. Tough shit, right? But he starts talking to everyone, doesn't he? So we're having this conversation. Me and him, I'm talking to him, but then these lovely American people start getting involved as well, and then all of a sudden, the whole carriage is sniggering because basically me and him are hammering each other. I got my bro jumping in and hammering me as well. And then the American lady started jumping in and hammering me as well. So everyone's out. But to be fair, it was really enlightening and lifted the mood because everyone was really nervous and some people were just sitting there listening, sort of laughing away to themselves and all this sort of stuff. But everyone was just getting into it, weren't they? And supporting each other. And it was just, even though like if you got on that train in rush hour, there'd be fights.
Yeah.
Because people, climbing over each other, wanting to get off this station, someone standing on this foot and all this sort of stuff. Everyone gets off there. Oh, sorry, mate. Sorry. Oh, can I just, it's so pleasant. It's such an unbelievable experience to explain. I don't know. It's just something about it, isn't it, Ben?
It just I was just thinking, in terms of, obviously we got kind of public transport to like Berlin. No one's kind of really talking, kind of even walking through. Yeah, and I've walked through at the start.
Hey, to get off your phone.
Chicago. He's ordering a pizza. But I've walked through at Chicago by myself, like kind of year one, and there was a girl who was, and I was trying to reassure, and she was chatting to me, but as soon as we were through, like, the security little bit in Chicago that we go to, she was just gone, and I was just like, oh, see you later then, have a nice day.
Does she not know who you were? Rude.
But when you're just like, it was that, even on the bus in New York, like you just sat there and it was like no one was talking to me, and I just was like, it's so different in London that everyone's so invested, and just I don't know, it for me, London is, I love doing London, like it's just
all right. Okay, listen, finish your slides. If you could only do one of those 6 or another one, I'll let you pull in another one, and you could only, it'd be your last marathon, which one would you do, Marissa?
Well, mine would be London, because then all my family could come and that.
Which one? London.
Yeah.
Now imagine
unless my mum couldn't come, and then I'd do Sydney.
No, I was going to say, right, we're going to borrow Hayden's jet. Your family can come to wherever you go.
London.
Still London, yeah? So you just use this chauffeur. Ben?
London as well, yeah.
Interesting. Hayden?
I actually think I'd probably go London as well, even though it's not even in my top 3. But yeah, especially to finish up on the last marathon, I think I'd go London.
Yeah.
What about you?
That says a lot. All of us saying it, and it's just you. Yeah. What would you do?
I'd do London.
That says it all.
I'd do London. I'd do London because of our volunteers in the bus at the start. I'd do London because of all the people 40 runs across the course. I'd do London because of the cheer station at 18. Made me cry this year. And I'd do London because the volunteers at the finish are so spectacular. And it's just amazing how everybody gets together on Marathon Day in London, and it just brings the best out of people. Because most people in this life are shitheads, right? Most people are horrible to each other. Most people are rude to each other, right? Because they're so stressed out about their life or whatever's going on, right? And they're all like this. But on Marathon Day in London, something magical happens, and good causes win, running wins, life wins, to be honest. And it's an amazing thing to be part of. And through the marathons that I've experienced, I've not done all the world majors, so I'm slightly narrow focused. But from all the stuff that I've done, I think that's if I then crossed the line, I got my medal, and someone shot me, I'd be happy. Do you know what I mean? Like, there'd probably be a line of them from all the different brands that I've slagged off. over the last 20 hour. But I would go out happy. I'd genuinely, because it'd just be amazing, wouldn't it? When you think about it. I think when they bury me, right, I want a plaque on the mouth. Charles can do one. I want a plaque on the mouth that says Fordy was here. Oh, what a great thing to do. Have that down there, and that's it. And I'm under there, and Ben can come there every day and cry. Right. But it's just after the finish, and I'm in there. And I'm just and I want a picture of me doing this to everyone. Just there. Wouldn't that be amazing? Honestly, it would be the best way to go. It'd be the best way to go. Hayden, would you be on the style of a gun?
No comment.
No comment. That's yes. Right, we've got to go because Hayden's takeaways on the way, which he ordered rudely through halfway through that podcast. If you enjoyed the show, we want you to leave a nice review for us. If you was so absolutely enraged by some of the comments made by Marissa, Ben, and Hayden tonight, please send an email into wedon'tcare@gmail.com. And we will make sure that we read those out. And other than that, we will be back live next week, I think, and the week after. And I think that's it, isn't it, team? Have I forgotten anything?
Oh, good.
No. Ben, take us out.
Bye, boys.